start our gathering, our circle. Let's ground down. Take a couple of deep breaths and just become aware of this present moment. Let's imagine we have those roots growing out of the soles of our feet, deep into the earth, just letting everything and anything go that happened before this moment. And let's just notice that right now, right here, all is well. We're alive, we're breathing. Let's feel gratitude just for that, to have this opportunity and to have the opportunity to think this next thought. Every 5 seconds, we can make a choice. So let's now set our intention. So let's roll our eyes up as if we're looking through the crown of our heads. And then we say silently inside of ourselves, even if I don't know how, to tune into the golden field of love, abundance, sisterhood, connection, trust, and love. All I do know is it is so now, and I am fulfilled. I delete all that could stop me, and I download everything I need to do so now with grace, ease, and joy. Thank you. So it is, so it shall be, or something even better. One more breath. Open your eyes and stretch up. Let's make ourselves all tall and say, yay. It's 2023. I'm going to let last goddesses in. It's 2023. Let's keep them up. Come on, girls. 2023, all the latecomers, we're letting you in and we welcome you. Thank you for being here. And we already started with celebrating the fact that we are here, okay? So I feel sometimes we can get so caught up in setting huge goals and aiming big that we forget to celebrate the little steps, right? So I was talking to a friend of mine, she's saying, you know what, I don't understand. She's also a coach. She said, people aim so big and they say, I'm gonna work out every single day for 1 hour next year. And these are the people who don't work out at all right now. And she says, why do they make it so difficult for themselves? Why not say, I'm gonna take the stairs every time instead of, the lift, or I'm going to park my car really far away so I have to walk further, or I'm just going to take a walk every day for 10 minutes, and set yourself up for success. Make it easy. Take little steps. And once the little steps are working, then say, oh, could I add on to that? Remember when we talk about meditation, I told you that story of me really making that decision of doing this meditation practice every single day, not every second day, every single day. But I didn't set out and say, I'm going to meditate for 1 hour every single day, because I was a little unrealistic at that time. I said, okay, I'm going to do 10 minutes because those 10 minutes I really can do. Right. And then once those 10 minutes started to become just a natural habit, then I stacked on another 10 minutes and I said, okay, could I do this in the evening as well? And I found, for instance, it was easier and better for me to do it morning and lunchtime first and then add on the evening, because the evening seemed to be the hardest one to put into place because there was always so much to do still of the day to wrap up, or I don't know, I had then other ideas, and then temptations come, right? Once you've had a big fat meal maybe, or you're already on the couch, it's hard to get up and then meditate. So what I'm saying is, let's set these small goals for ourselves and commit to that and say, okay, I'm going to do this one thing different. So one of the decisions that I made last year, and especially for Christmas and New Year, was that it was no longer my job to fix everything. I am the sort of person, you put me in a group of people. Oh, someone's got their mic on.
Less AC, guys. Less Italian.
Okay. I love it when AI suddenly steps in. So I decided that I was going to do a couple of things just a little different. So for instance, not having to fix something and not having to be the one in a group, in a family, in a tribe, in whatever, that is the leader and takes control. Because I am a natural leader, and it took me many years to really own that and celebrate that and not pretend that I'm different, because I also realized that, by accepting a leadership role, and that doesn't mean that we have to be the leader of a country just to be a leader. No, we're the leaders in our workplace. We can be a leader in our relationships. We can be a leader in our family lives. We can be leaders in communities. It doesn't matter. But owning that leadership role comes also with a huge responsibility, because when we're willing to take on that responsibility, we're also taking on the assignment to take care of others, to take a stand not only for ourselves, but also actually to take a stand for the other, and to take a stand for the thing that we're in, the relationship, the boat. So in this book that I'm reading, I've been quoting from it a lot because it's so good and I'm learning so much out of it. Jason Gaddis compares any relationship, to two boats tying together. So say we're a little boat, right? And we're the little boat going in the ocean, and it's stormy, and we go through all the weathers. Yes, we can do it ourselves, right? We can have a strong little boat, and we can go out on the ocean and be really courageous and on our own. But as soon as we're in relationship, we discover, oh, actually, it would be nice to have someone with me. And then we are on these two boats. So we've tied our two boats together. And once we've done that, that actually also means that we have new responsibilities. It's no longer just about us and what we feel is right and what we need. We have to take the other person's needs and feelings also into consideration. That's a responsibility. That's a commitment. And I think often in relationships, we're not aware of this boat tying, or we're still trying to sort of, I don't know, just tie one little knot, but give it a little freedom on the other side. But if we're willing to really be the leaders in our relationships, we have to accept that that's just what is. So it matters how the other one is faring. That doesn't mean that it's my responsibility to fix them, but it's my responsibility to stay aware of what the other one needs too. Is that making sense? And I think what I've discovered, what I have found most challenging is just being with the other in conflict without having to know the solution, without having to be the one that then puts something into place, just being able to hear them, just being able to really see them, to be able to understand what the hell is going on, right? And how difficult can that be when someone is in a triggered or emotionally charged or even blaming, shaming kind of attitude, right? And they may be really angry or upset, and they're just firing all these words at you. How hard can it be then to really listen? Who of you knows that? I mean, isn't it true that sometimes we're just listening and at the same time just waiting for that gap until we can finally say our thing? Or we're actually, while we're listening, already constructing what we're going to say to it? I think that comes from that need of wanting to do something about it, especially us as women. I feel that very often, at least what I see, is that the women in relationships and families are the ones who are the glue. We're the ones constantly kind of trying to keep it together. Isn't that true? I don't see that much engagement or commitment or dedication from most men. Of course, there are exceptions, but there are fewer men that I know, also, in big tribes, that will take that leadership role and say, I'm going to do that for us all. Would you agree? So if we have that leadership role as women, at least we're claiming that now, I'm going to let these last goddesses in. And as we allow these last goddesses in, I'm going to remind us all that we have the agreement in the Golden Goddess Circle that we are on time, and we know life is busy. So what we've said is that we will start the circles at 5 to 9, right, to let people in. Sometimes I started even earlier to have a little chit chat, and if I have time, and then we can all gather a little earlier. But I will promise to always open the Goddess Circle at 5 to 9, and then technically we close it at 9:05. So you have 10 minutes of time to join, and then it's just over. We want to do that to protect our circle and to protect the conversations that we have, so that we don't have to always start from zero, and then not somebody has to always watch out for the waiting room. Okay, can we agree on that? Cool. So you just know what's happening. So don't get upset if you can't get in anymore. We love you, but we're focused on what we're saying and doing right now. Okay, so how do we stay calm and serene and in the understanding mode while we're listening to someone who's really charged and emotional? Now, here I learned in this book a really nice way to do that. One is understanding the two-boat theory, right? So, okay, we've got our two boats tied, so there's no way out. This is a relationship that I can now influence. It doesn't mean that that relationship always has to be right at my side and right in my face. But if I'm in relationship with that person, I care about that. Okay. So when I do that, I need to understand that a conflict is not over until that other person feels understood by me. I need to listen until they feel understood. Make sense? Just like I want someone else to listen until I feel they've understood me, because that goes back to those needs that we have in relationships to feel seen, heard, and supported and cared for, right? So this listening thing is a big thing. Would you agree? Yeah? Okay. So I think the most difficult thing when we're listening is if we're listening to something that really triggers us, or where we see that that is not true. It just doesn't feel true. They're that line blackout, right? And you're like, it's just not true. Isn't that the hardest? Because in that moment, we just really want to write that. So we need a tool that we can access in that moment when we notice, oh my God, I'm going to lose my shit right now, and I'm not going to listen anymore. I'm closing down. I'm shutting off. My best tool there is breath. Is really, if in doubt, take that one deep breath. Make it deep and even audible. Okay, show the other person that you're really taking it in. And maybe it's 3 breaths. But I swear to God, if we just took that one breath often, it would really help us listen better and avoid explosive conflicts. Okay, so I would say that breath is the best thing. If you remember to do the breath, and then you say, okay, I want to layer something on. I like this one here. I like the courage points because they're right next to my heart. They remind me of, come on, come back into your body. And, you know, fear is kind of always there in conflict. It's the fear of not being understood, the fear of being rejected, the fear of being abandoned, the fear of being ashamed, all those fears. So this is a good one to go to and just breathe. And then stay inside, all is well, all is well, all is well. It's okay, it's okay. Because what we're doing is we're talking to our own scared animal in that moment. Because that's all it is. It's just the scared animal in us, the ego, the little kid that is feeling triggered by what the other person is saying. So if we tackle it here and say all is well, we're able to go back into the listening. Now, what do we do if we are listening to someone who's just verbal diarrhea? You know, this is, oh my God, this is a monologue. That's not a conversation. Listening does not mean that one person necessarily gets to hog the entire thing. I mean, who of you have been to dinner tables, to conferences, to network meetings, to whatever, where one person just dominates the whole table? Who? Have you ever been there? Where you're just sitting there and saying, for God's sake, just shut up. But usually we don't do that. Now, here's the thing. You want to do it. You want to interrupt them. That might trigger them, yes. But why are you interrupting? You're interrupting because after, I don't know, 20 sentences, you can't listen anymore. They're just going on and on into some sort of cycle. It's not going anywhere. So here's a good thing that you can use in those moments, okay? So when someone is completely in the blah, 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 you go, excuse me for interrupting. I just want to make sure I'm understanding you. And then you repeat back what you heard they said so far. Or you can say, hold on, I need to interrupt you so that I can follow you. Let me make sure I'm with you so far. I'll repeat them again, something like that. Or, wait a second, my bad. I need to pause you because I want to understand. Are you saying X or are you saying Y? Okay, so to help them feel understood, even if they're having verbal diarrhea and they just need to go, it's helpful if you interrupt them to let them also gather themselves. Make sense? Not only you, but also them. So pause the conversation and then follow up, if you want, with something like, Does that sound right? Did I get it right? Am I understanding you? Okay, so I'll repeat it again. When someone's just talking, and you need to pause them, it's not going anywhere, you help them gather themselves and yourself by saying, excuse me for interrupting. I just want to make sure I'm understanding you. Or, hold on, I need to interrupt you so that I can follow you. Let me make sure I'm with you so far. Or, wait a sec, my bad. I need to pause you because I want to understand. Are you saying X or are you saying Y? Yeah, and then you can follow up with a same page question. That's what it's called. Does that sound right? Did I get that right? Am I understanding you? Now, have we so far then taken on their truth? Have we said, you're totally right. I am stupid. Yeah, you're right. I messed up. No, we haven't done it. We've just understood them. So that's already going to be a big, big game changer if we have the awareness to do that in that moment. Any questions so far? Clear? Okay, cool. So now to this process, there are different steps when we want to listen and understand, okay? Step one is we remain curious. When you're listening, focus less on what's happening inside of you. Notice it and say, oh, I notice I'm feeling a little emotional now, or I notice my heartbeat is quickening. That can be helpful, absolutely. And then stay curious of what's happening there. What does their face look like when they're talking? What is their voice sounding like right now? What is their body posture doing? Are they moving towards you? Are they closing off? Are they getting agitated? Stay curious. To say, wow, this is so interesting. Maybe imagine you're this alien from a different planet, and this is the first time you're seeing a human that's really emotional. And you, as an alien, don't have all those emotions. So you're like, wow, this is cool. You're curious, okay? So step one is stay curious. Step two is called reflective listening. In reflective listening, we're just giving back what we heard. This also helps us understand, because very often we use words, or people use words that are highly triggering to us. That doesn't actually have anything to do with the word, the fact itself. It's what it means to us. So we go off on an emotional tangent, usually in the past, and we're no longer listening. So reflective listening sounds like you're upset about your, I don't know, coworker always leaving their trash on your table. Or I hear you saying that you're upset with me because I came late. Or what I'm getting is that you are upset about this or that. So it sounds like is a good thing to say. I hear you saying, what did you hear them say? And be very careful. This is a great brain training too. What did you hear them say? What did they actually say? You'll find that it can be really hard to even repeat back what they said, and how tempting it is to replace words with words of what you think they said, or words of what it actually felt like. But if you're able to really just give back exactly what they said, how calming is it to their scared animal? Because their scared animal in that emotional state just wants to feel understood. So if you give back their words and say, did I hear you say, or am I getting it right, that this is how you feel right now, their scared animal can go, yes. And the moment we get a yes from the other person, they're no longer in total defend, deflect, deny. They're no longer in resistance. Make sense? So that step two of reflective listening is really helpful. Then step three are the same page questions. Those are the ones I've already mentioned. There's something like, is that right? Am I following you so far? Am I with you? Do I have that right? You're just checking in. Is what you just said in the reflective listening, in your repeating back, is it correct? Yeah. And only then when you get a yes, do you go on. If not, tell me what is. Please tell me, what did you mean? Okay, so don't go on from that step if it's not clear. You want to get that yes. Okay, good. And step 4 is the active listening. This is where I told you when someone is just talking, has verbal diarrhea, you do have the right and the responsibility to interrupt them with those questions that I said. The other interactive listening is that you're just listening, fascinated, and you're inside, you're saying, okay, this is what they just said, you're repeating it, you're just active, you're present. You're really present and listening, looking at them, noticing them, just being there. In that phase, just focus on your breath. Just focus on your breath. And if something is said that it really is triggering you again, you go back to all is well. All is well. All is well. Could you imagine just by doing this, all is well inside, that your frequency will be nicer for the other person? Could you imagine that? Because you're not only saying it to yourself, you're saying it to the field. And remember, our tide boats were just in a field together. So we can, as relationship leaders, then be the ones holding the field by just saying all is well, and letting it unfold. Okay, step 5, empathy. Empathy as make sure to validate their feelings. Nothing is worse, I think, than someone who will not validate your feelings. When you say, I feel sad, and I feel angry, and I feel frustrated. And then the other person says, well, why would you feel that? That's not right to feel that. You always with your feelings, or something like that. That feels really bad, doesn't it? So let's not do that to others either. Whether their reality is helpful to them or not, that's a different question. But they have the feelings that they have. So when we just acknowledge those feelings, we are able to relate. We're able to build that empathy. But here's the thing, especially as coaches and as people in relationships, if we are someone, for instance, who's never really connected to our own emotions, if we've never really connected to those rageful, griefful, and other parts in us because we were kind of scared of them, then we'll have a hard time connecting with other ones who are in that state themselves. So that's good news for empaths here, or of us ladies who are maybe very passionate and have a lot of emotional bandwidth. That's very helpful when you are trying to help other people, because you can relate. You might not be able to relate to why they feel like that right now because it doesn't make sense to you, but you can relate to the feeling. And because you know what it feels like to feel so angry and upset and whatever, you can just be with that feeling without needing to do something about it. And there already the shift will happen, because in that empathy, the other body's nervous system can just relax and can say, it's okay. It's safe for me to express my emotions right now. Now, as women here, I'm guessing a lot of us have partners. We have male people to deal with in conflict sometimes, right? True? And these male people don't have that bandwidth. They just don't. They do have the emotions as well, but usually not the bandwidth and usually not the depth that women have, because they're just wired different. So here's where us women come in as relationship leaders to be able to teach our men that it's safe for them to be emotional and vulnerable with us. But we have to learn how to sit with their anger and sit with their grief and frustration that might look very different than ours. Because most men have an easier time connecting to the anger than to the grief. Okay, so they do have the grief, but before they want to feel the grief, they'll prefer to stay in the anger because the grief feels so threatening. Few men really cry. Us women usually are built very closely to our tear ducts, right? I've noticed that men, as they get older, like with my dad, he's become way more emotional than he used to be, but not all do. So I think for us women, the most beautiful gift we can give is to allow them that space to feel that emotion and to just feel with them. And by feeling with them, I don't mean that you have to get angry with them, but that you can, in that moment when the situation is like that, you say, oh, you seem angry. You seem sad. You seem frustrated. Is that true? Right? So that's the empathy. Then step 6, we validate. And that could be something like we say, oh, honey, it makes sense that you feel angry about that right now. Oh, honey, I get it. I get it that you feel sad about that. Validate how they feel in that moment, just to validate their reality. Because in the moment they say, I get it. I get it. Something opens up, and then in that boat, I feel there's like this bridge of energy that starts flowing, because we no longer have to stay in the resistance. We no longer have to stay in the defense. Remember, the main reaction to any form of criticism or conflict is usually deny, deflect, defend. That's the old programming. Now we're 2023, we've opened up a new portal. We're going to do compassion. We're going to do connection. We're going to do, what's the third C? Clarity, courage. Why don't we replace those 3? And we're going to replace it maybe with this process. And you'll see that these steps, when you practice them, they don't have to be long. Not every step is like minutes of work. No, it's just saying the right thing at the right time. Okay. So in the validation, you say something like, I hear you and can relate. I hate it when things like that happen. And I don't blame you for being angry or sad or upset. I get it. I get it. Okay. Then in step 7, we claim ownership. Okay. So here is where we want to say, really, by this time, we will also have realized how we played a role in this unfolding. Okay, so that's the part that is really helpful to ourselves, to reflect on what part of me did create this. And you know, it's so fascinating often to go back into situations of conflict with the fresh eyes that we have now, and to see, oh, I get it. I get how what I did could seem like that, could be understood and read like that by someone who was like my partner, because the wounded animals were talking. It was the scared animals inside that suddenly got into loggerheads. It wasn't our wisest selves. So as relationship leaders, we can step back into that ownership by owning what we contributed to this, right? We don't have to blame ourselves for it. We'll just say, oh, I recognize how, I don't know, when, like for me, when I come into my family gatherings, right, with a lot of kids and there's a lot of hustle bustle going in, when I come in and I like to create great events, I like things to be organized, I can see how sometimes when I come in and take charge, I don't know, start the cooking, get people to set the table, take control, that someone like, for instance, my brother, who has let's say he still has growth left in self-confidence. So sometimes he seems to feel very insecure, that he can feel triggered by that. Because I'm his older sister, he still has feelings of competition towards me. It's just his thing, right? So I get it. I get it that if I then come in and no matter how great a job I do, just the fact that I do that can to him seem like a threat. Oh, she thinks I'm not doing well enough. That's what I realized over Christmas, for instance. I was really enjoying actually the role of being the observer and taking myself back without dimming my light, just being able to stay in my bubble, right? To notice these dynamics and to notice what's my part in this. So in this ownership part, it's very self-reflective, and it's not a part where you want to go into your own judgment, but you just want to acknowledge, say, oh, that's my bit in this. Interesting, interesting. Okay. Step 8, nearly there, is the completion by sharing the reality. We're creating a new reality. So remember, we started out with person really upset here, us here, right? And then we got closer by being able to listen, being able to understand, getting the other one, getting how we were in it. And then we concluded by finding a new reality, a reality that we can both share. So then we can close by saying things like, is there anything else? Is there anything I missed? Is there anything else you want me to get about you and your experience? What else? Anything else before we transition into my experience? Because that's going to be where you get to say how you see this new reality, what your part was in it, and how you're going to now, go on from here. Do you feel understood now? That's a really nice one too. Because remember, after the reflective listening, you've repeated back, you've created understanding. And you need to check in that they're at that state where they feel understood by you. Because once they feel understood by you, they will be able to start understanding you. And then once that is complete, conflict is no longer there, because then we have talked to each other and say, okay, here's what happened with me. Here are my feelings. Here are my needs that were not getting met. And then we can together find a solution. How can we do this better? Okay, how can we go on from here? What do you need? How can I help you? Yes? Was that helpful to you? We now have an 8-step process to practice. So I'd love to check in with Linda and tell me, Linda, what do you think? What's your conclusion from this?
Just joy. I'm just because I fall down this weekend. So my husband just came back and he's going to put bandage on my back because he needs to leave. So I'm not attending the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry
now, so maybe you can ask Mirella instead. Okay.
I will.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay.
Where in your
it's
back?
hurting a lot. So he's now there. I fell on the bath. So yeah, it's hurting a lot. So I'm coming back. So he's just going to fix it now.
You do that. Enjoy it, honey. We'll send
thank you.
love.
Thank you.
Okay, Linda, Mirella, how about you? What did you get from this? I'm sorry, Linda had a conflict with the bathtub.
Yeah. It was right. Yeah. For me, I this is one of my things I really love always to do, because I experience a lot. If you check if it's what you're seeing is right, that's amazing. The thing for me, what I now notice, like if you say at the point to acknowledge their anger or emotion, for me there was always the part of that I was the one who was to blame. So I felt always guilty, and that's why I didn't ask the question. So I avoided that. So
that's a good realization.
Yeah. So that's because I always think, oh yes, you see, it's my fault. So that's my programming. So it's very very helpful to have this pattern and to leave it where it's supposed to be, and to clear up my own emotions there.
Yeah. Thank you. It goes back into, we were talking about that when we it's this owning what part of me created this.
Yeah.
And owning it without blaming and shaming yourself, and just say, interesting, I'm this interesting organism that is creating all these interesting things. So which part of me created right that now? Interesting.
Yeah. So thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. That leads me actually to a funny story. So I made this post yesterday, and I always have my little place on my balcony where I sit and channel my message on social for the day. And for the 1st of January, I posted this. Okay, you're going to laugh about this story. Okay, so I post in the morning thinking this is my January post. This year, instead of changing myself, I shall love myself just like I am. I shall acknowledge all parts of me and recognize the gifts and challenges they bring. I shall celebrate each moment by tuning into gratitude. So also in conflict, right? I'm just going to feel grateful and noticing how lucky I am. I shall stay aware of my feelings and needs without letting them rule me. I shall consciously choose love and usher out the doubt. For I am loved, I am loving, and I am lovable, and I am love. Okay, so I go ahead, post this on social in the morning, and then my day unfolds. And of course, the universe says, great idea, let's test that. Okay, so it's in the morning, I've done all that thing, and then I'm thinking, oh, Grace is not back yet from her celebration with her papa. Roy had just gone to his apartment to do some tidying up and stuff. So I said, okay, well, what could I do now? It's a beautiful day. And I was like, I want to go outside. I'd like to go up onto a little mountain here. Maybe I'll text my brother who's staying with his family and his kids, my nephews and nieces. I thought, text him and I say, hey, got any plans for today? Shall we take the kids out on a hike? Let me know. Okay. Don't hear anything. Then I'm thinking, oh, well, okay. Then I check in with my daughter and say, hey, Gracie, when are you coming? She says, yeah, I'm about to come now. So she comes exhausted, goes back to bed, goes to sleep. So I'm like, okay, let's check in with Roy, who had said, I'm going to come back in a couple of hours. So a couple of hours is technically 2. By that time, it was 5 hours later, hadn't heard anything. So next one I text and I write, hey, honey, a couple of hours seems to be a little longer than 2. Is that true? What are your plans, right? So we check in. He says, yeah, he's going to finish cleaning up or whatever. And I think, wow, my kid's sleeping. They're not reacting. Maybe I'll call my mom. So I call my mom, who's with my brother. And I said, hey, I was just finding out, anybody doing anything today? Should we do something together? And, I sent a text to my brother, but he didn't respond. She said, oh, I'm sure he just didn't see it. And then she says, oh, just come over, come to the house. We can have some tea. We can have some, food or whatever. Just come. And I said, okay, you know what? I'll do that. I'll just let Grace sleep a little bit and then I'll come. Good. While Grace is sleeping, I'm thinking, what nice thing could I do? Oh, you know what? I'll make a fish lasagna for everyone because everybody likes fish lasagna, and I'll make a nice fish lasagna and then I'll take it over. So I bake this beautiful fish lasagna, get it all ready, make a salad, have it all to go, wake my kid and say, hey, Grace, let's go to your cousin's and have this fish lasagna. Drive over. And actually, I then told Roy, who then said, well, shall I come too? And I said, no, don't bother. It's not that much lasagna. You and I will eat something afterwards, and you do finish your stuff. Okay, so I drive over, come to the house, open the house door, and the kids always come and they, hey, Auntie Joy, come with my lasagna, put it in the kitchen. Oh, before that, I had actually sent my mom a text with a picture of the lasagna saying, I'm coming over now. This is it, right? I come over, the kids say hello and everything. The others, they're sort of, lying on the couch. The ones in the other room, no reaction. So then my mom comes and says, oh, that's a surprise that you're here. And I said, well, actually, I texted you and I also sent you a picture of the lasagna. I've got a lasagna for all of us. And she said, oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's cool. Right? So I put it down. Then my brother comes. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my brother. And he's sometimes a little difficult for me to deal with. So he comes in, sees this thing. He says, what's that? I said, I made a fish lasagna for all of us. And he starts poking at it. And I said, leave it. It's all warm. And he says, I'm just looking how much it is to see if it's enough for all of us. So I was like, okay. And it really hit. I felt so bad inside that I remember I stood in the kitchen and he had just said that. And I was like, I did my breath. And then I thought, okay, I'll just remove myself out of the kitchen and go into the garden room just to take a couple of breaths and to check in with myself. What's going on? Joy, what's going on? And I was so upset. So I was standing there in this garden room, doing my breath and saying, okay, what is it? What are you feeling? And I said, I feel so sad. I feel so disappointed. And I said, okay, what's underneath it? Well, what need is not getting met? And then I said, acknowledgement, appreciation. I thought, yeah, it's that, but what else? What else? What's the basic thing? Well, what are you needing? And then I thought, oh, it's connection. It's my good old connection. That's one of my main needs I love. When my need for connection is met, I usually feel really amazing. So interesting. Then my mom comes. She's a meanwhile woman, realized something's off with her, right? So she comes over and she says, what's up? And I said, I just feel really sad and disappointed right now because I wanted some appreciation and an acknowledgement. And I just don't feel good. And she was like, and I love my mom. She's like, but that's not right. That's not how it's meant. Don't take this so personally. It's got nothing wrong to do. And da. And I said, okay, Mom, I got it. I'm just going to go now, take a couple of breaths and come back. Please enjoy the lasagna. You do your thing. I need to go now. No, you can't go now. And I said, Mom, I need some space now. Okay. It's all good. It's all on me. I'm just feeling this way right now. I'm going to figure this out and I will come back. Okay, Mom? And then she let me go. So I left off and went for a drive and sat under a tree and really sat with it. And I noticed that it was the same kind of pattern that I've experienced a couple of times. And my brother is just one of the best teachers, right? So after that all unfolded, Roy came home. And he had said he was going to come, I don't know, was it 4 or whatever? By that time, it was 7 p.m. And I was sitting outside on my balcony and I was feeling miserable. I was like, what the fuck? Here I am. I do all these things. I have all these people that I love and I love hanging out with. Where are they all? Nobody's hanging out with me. I felt so lonely. I felt so like, right? So he came in and he noticed that, of course, I was not in a good mood. So I said, yeah, to express the story, and said, you know, this need I have, it's just like, I wish I didn't have it. I wish I didn't care. And he was like, you're never going to change that, honey. You're someone who cares. So your only problem is that you often care about the wrong people, because your family is not your family as in that they have to be your best relationships. That's soul connections. These are karmic relationships. They are teaching you something. Your brother is teaching you. And then he went in, and I'm exaggerating now, but you know the kind of gist. He was teaching me, right? Because that's who he is, right? And I acknowledged and admired him in that moment, that he was even able to sit with my grief, because I was like, whoa, sitting there, and usually that's hard for him because his emotional bandwidth is just not that way, right? So other people being very emotional is really challenging for him. So kudos, he sat with me, right? He didn't take it personally. He didn't make it about him. He was able to sit there and be there, right? But he started lecturing me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do my active listening right now. But I was in a bad state too. So I was sitting there breathing and listen to 15 minutes of why this is my soul's lesson, and you need to be a leader, and leadership is lonely, and you just need to find the and then I just, God, this is making me feel even worse, and now I'm feeling pissed off with him too. So I used the, can I stop you right there? Can I stop you right there? And then he looked at me and he said, oh, now I'm making you annoyed. And I said, no, it's not annoyed. I just really need to sit in peace right now. Would you meditate with me? I just thought I'd throw it out there because it's the best thing I could think of. I don't want to talk anymore. I don't want people telling me anything. Can we find peace? So he said, okay, we'll do that. So we then went in front of our biocharger. I put on the program Love. That's always my go-to and things like that. Like, love will always fix this. And we sat there and I did 20 minutes of breath practice and silence, and Roy was there with me. And I really got to see the pattern. And that was the self-reflection, to see the pattern of, yes, I value connection. And now in 2023, I can expand out into deepening those connections of people who are on one line with me. Why not that? Because that way I'm also going to attract others who want the same things. And it's okay, you know, that a lot of people just want different things. But there must be people out there that are similarly structured like me and also have these needs for meaningful conversations, for quality time together, for, you know, having new experiences, expanding, exploring. I know it because look at us. I mean, let me ask here. Who of you here also has, as one of their values in life that are just high, is connection in there, that you need that, right? Right? So I'm not alone. So let's bust the myth that leaders need to be lonely. Can we? Because it's bullshit. I don't believe that. I think that's maybe part of an old paradigm that is keeping us stuck in these separate little bubbles. We're not separate. We're all leaders. So why don't we lead together and keep connection to each other? That's why I do my best to be my most vulnerable and normal self here, because I want that. And if you don't like that, then you don't have to be here. Easy. Right? Okay. So shall we shift that belief? Are you in? Leaders can be connected. Because I think that's what it's about. Okay. So let's start with a switch. And we say, I love and accept myself. Even if parts of me believe that leaders need to be lonely and that I cannot find the connection, the heartfelt connection that I need. It's okay. And I love and accept myself when I now choose to know that leaders can feel connected and loved and expansive and cooperative and collaborative. And I can feel connected to all these leaders around me. I can do that. Okay, underneath our left arm, leadership, loneliness, connection. I love and accept myself with all my doubts. My deepest level. And from the very first time I doubted myself. And I choose now to usher out the doubt and to believe in myself and to know that I'm a leader and I'm a loving, joyful, graceful, beautiful leader who feels super connected and supported and worthy and loved. There. That's who I am. Good job. Thumbs. Leadership, connection. I love and accept myself with all my grief, all those times I felt lonely and deserted and abandoned and unloved. It's okay. It's part of the past. I release all this grief and I choose to step into my power of joy. Because joy is who I am and I deserve joy and I am joy. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Good job. Underneath our collarbones, let's tap our chest bone. Leadership, connection. I love and accept myself with all my fears of failure, my fears of feeling lonely, my fears of feeling disconnected, my fears, all these fears. I love and accept myself. And I choose to release these fears and to step into my most powerful, courageous self. For I can do this, I will do this, and I am doing this now. I am connected. I am a leader. Say it like you mean it. I am connected. I am a leader, and I love being a leader of love. That's who I am. Liver, right side. Leadership, connection. I love and accept myself with all my anger and my rage towards the world, towards the unfairness, towards the loneliness, towards myself at my deepest level. And from the very first time I felt angry. And I choose now to release this anger and to step into my power of forgiveness and compassion and peace. I'm at peace. I'm a peaceful leader. Yeah. I love leading in peace. And I am at peace. Okay. Now imagine when we do this thingy, imagine Dolores Cannon, I remember taught that when we're in the shift, she described there would be like planet Earth here, right? 3D. And then there would be 5D here. And during the shift, it would often feel like we're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth between these two, right? And that can feel really jarring. And then she said, until it happens that it suddenly goes, oof, and you're in 5D, and yeah, you know 3D's there, but it doesn't really bother you anymore. So let's imagine that while we do our crown heart chakra integration, we're cutting all the karmic links between 3D and 5D. What if there's some stuff going on there, especially concerning leadership? Hey? So let's imagine we're looking 3D in the eye, and then we say, leadership, connection. I claim my power back, and I give you your power back. I claim my freedom back, and I give you your freedom back. I claim back what's mine, and I give you what's yours. I forgive you for all the pain and suffering you ever created. And I ask for forgiveness for any pain or suffering I ever created. The past remains in the past. Only love can connect us. I wish you well, just as I wish myself well. I am a leader. I am coming from love. I am staying in love. And I am leading from love, because love is who I am. One more breath, and then maybe place a hand on that beautiful heart of yours and imagine blessing yourself, blessing all of who you are, appreciating how far you've come, appreciating all the challenges you've been through, all the letting goes you've had to do. Celebrate that. And let's imagine selling every single one of our trillions of cells that little rainbow of gratitude, saying thank you. Thank you to all parts of me for getting me for where I am right now. And then imagine taking that rainbow into the space between your cells, filling up your entire body with rainbow light, with that potential of a new year, new opportunities, a new you simply being that most authentic you that just loves yourself. And every day in every way, you find new ways of falling in love with love and life. Yeah? One more breath. And then imagine sending that rainbow light out to the people around you, your family, the loved ones. Sabrina, for instance, send it to the ones that have passed on. Let's send it on to the animals that have passed on, our family members, friends, people that have chosen to go on into the next dimension, blessing them, thanking them for everything they did for us and they can still do for us in 5D, much easier. And then come back into the here and now, rub your hands together, create a nice lot of energy between your hands. This is magical, rejuvenating, regenerative energy, maximum healing, okay? And you're going to place it on a part of your body that feels right now, okay? 3, 2, 1. Yeah. And Linda, I'm sending you some rainbow light to your back.
Thank you. It's amazing, this topic, because just of this, not listening, I was like becoming like kind of angry, and I make a turn in the bathroom and I fell on the bath. My God, and it's hurting. So he was just standing here like, I need to do something now. So that's why I needed to leave. But it's hurting, it's hurting. So I pay my kind of price to learn my lesson, to step away. Thank you for sharing this. Yeah.
You're welcome, honey. Where does your back hurt most? Which area?
It's on the side of the liver, but it's a little bit up, like the long side, because I think my bones are or bruised, broken, I don't know, but it's hurting. I breathe. I can breathe luckily deeply, so it's not in my lungs, but it's hurting. So
you
now
might
he bought a bandage.
Yeah, maybe could it be that you broke a rib, or you maybe fractured a rib a little?
Fractured, yes.
Yeah. Right. Well, the good news is that even if you broke your rib, your body can heal it, and they wouldn't be able to do much anyway. The only thing you can get is a corset to keep it tight. So this is going to be some great breath practice days ahead of you, because that's going to be really the biggest thing. I've noticed that when I have back pain, really being diligent with the breath practice and really just pumping the oxygen through those bruised areas, I think is going to help. And you know what you could do, honey? Send me your date of birth, a picture, your full name. That's all I need. And I'll put you on my Healy. And I'll start sending you some love. And I'm sure Morella would do the same. And if we bombard you from both sides, there you go. You're already on it. You get much better. Yeah. And all of us are sending you love too. Anybody else here need some love sent? Then raise your hand, put it in the chat. And we'll have a little, everybody who does some breath work today could breathe for us goddesses, right? We could just breathe for the field, breathe for 2023. How about that? Mirella, how are you?
Yeah, this is exactly where we're at right now. So I'm very grateful that always our conversations are in connection and we build in this field and get the right answers, right topics, and sending people the love and energy they need. So I'm very grateful for this circle and for our connection. So yeah.
Same here. I appreciate you too, honey. I appreciate all of you here. Thank you so much for being part of the GGC.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would suggest shall we define a time today that we all breathe together? At least I'll tell you then we can, and then for the ones that are, in pain, like Linda, that would be a good time for you to lie down and to do a gentle breath practice and know that we're breathing for you. So yes, and I can give you some music advice for breath meditation. I have a playlist on Spotify. It's called Joyful Breath. So on Spotify, my name is Crystalline444. Crystalline as in CHRISTALLIN, Christ all in, 444. You should find my playlists, and I have one that's called Joyful Breath. And of course, I'll put it in the newsletter as well, but I don't know when the newsletter exactly goes out. So you'll find it in there. And I would suggest, what should we do? How about 6 p.m. before dinner starts and all that stuff? 6 p.m. is usually a good time. I think that's when I can make it happen. Can you take a rest at 6 p.m., Linda?
We have a meeting at 6 p.m.
We have a call.
Okay, so when can you do?
I can do a 5:45. That would be perfect.
Perfect. Let's do 5:45. That's 5:45 Central European time. And at 5:45, we connect in the field and we do some breath work together. Let's just do 10 minutes. From 5:45 till 5:55, we just breathe. We can do the goddess breath. You can use any conscious breath. You could repeat a mantra like, I am love, I am loved, I am loving, I am lovable, I am love, I am infinite, I am eternal, whatever works for you. Choose a mantra, choose a breath, what you're going to do, and then spend 10 minutes imagining this golden energy or this rainbow light moving through our own bodies, and then out into the goddess circle, to Linda, to Irene, to Svenja, to everybody here, right? Everybody who's in the chat, let's do that, okay?
Thank you.
Love you, honeys.
I will let you know what's going to happen and to change.
Yeah, let us know how your journey is in those 10 minutes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. I'm seeing so much in the chat, and it's 9:59. So Irene, you wanted to ask me something? Is it a quick question?
Yes, it's a quick one. You started with don't have a big goal, but small steps. Yeah, we have heard 8 steps. Which of the one is the first one to start with? Because I normally felt overwhelmed, and I said, okay, if I focus on just one step, then maybe the other will follow.
Well, step 1 is the curiosity. To stay curious.
Curiosity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stay curious and focus on your breath. That would be a great first step.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll get back to these 8 steps. And in my ideal world, maybe next time we can do the breakout rooms where we could practice it. So we'll get
but starting with this.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, my loves. So.
And your name on Spotify is not anymore Crystalline444, but just Joy Martina.
But there you go. Aren't I smart? I changed it. Because usually people don't know how to spell crystalline. Oh no, you know why? I have two accounts.
Okay, but Crystalline444 is not visible, and you cannot find it. Okay.
Cool. Okay. So my sweets, I love you. Have a beautiful day and week. And yeah, let's stay in touch. You know, Joy Tribe Facebook, that's always where you can find me if you want to send me messages or ask questions. Just do an open post. It's a cool tribe. And yeah, you can always send me an email if something is very, very urgent, and I will do my best to get back to you. I love you. Have a great day and feel blessed all over. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.